Today, we're going on an expedition. Back behind the old homestead, through the Fay Forest, across the haunted swamp, and then through the cyclops trees that stand sentinel at the edge of the forest. From there, you go through the Blueberry Ocean and up Bigfoot Mountain, so named because Bigfoot would probably like to live there. There are a lot of blueberries. Keep going until you get to the highest hill. Slog through the underbrush for a while, and there you'll find something quite mysterious. It's a pile of rocks. Nothing more, nothing less. What, were you expecting something cooler? Jesus, people are so entitled these days. It's a good pile. It's round, it's gray, it's made of rocks, it's got a tree growing in the middle. What more could you ask for? All right, it's not just a pile of rocks. This is what's called a stone cairn. That's C-A-I-R-N. And stone cairns like these are found all throughout the woods of southern New England and elsewhere, but primarily the ones like these are primarily concentrated in southern New England. What makes it interesting, we don't know who put it here. We have no idea who put this pile of rocks here. We don't know how old it is. We don't know why it was built, nor do we know why any of the other thousands of stone cairns like this were built. Some people think that it was just settlers who, when they got done with building stone walls in the summer heat for 12 hours, they decided to just, they were having so much fun, they decided to just build some more piles. No. You can see piles that farmers left after they built stone walls, and they look like you'd expect. It's just, they just want to get it done as fast as possible, so they just threw it in a pile. Some people think that Native Americans built these. That's probably true. But we don't know which Native Americans. Because in Native lore, they say that these stone cairns were built by their ancestors. And as far back as, the 1600s, people were looking at these rock piles and going, hey, who put that there? There's an argument to be made that these stone cairns are actually prehistoric. They could be anywhere from 1,000 to 9,000 years old. They could have been built by the people who lived here before the people we now know as Native Americans. We don't know. Some people think that these are actually built by Celtic Druids who sailed over here before any recorded European contact in the Americas. I don't know about all that. Probably more likely that the people that lived here built them, but who's to say? Now, there are a lot of varieties of these stone cairns too. Ones like this that are on top of a hill usually have a piece of quartz right at the front of them, or on top. Now, I've played enough fantasy role-playing games to know that I probably just cursed myself by picking this up. So I'm gonna put it back, hope I don't get cursed. I probably did. What are you gonna do? We don't know why that piece of quartz is there. And now, when I say that they're everywhere throughout the forest, yeah, they're everywhere. You've probably seen them before. We didn't have to go all the way out here for me to show you this. There's like a dozen a stone's throw away from my house. I just kind of think this area is neat, so thanks for indulging me. But yeah, we can go back. Let's go back. All right, we made it. Nice thing about this pile of rocks is you don't have to bushwhack with a machete to get to it. All you gotta deal with is poison ivy and mosquitoes, but like they say, you can't make an omelet without catching encephalitis. I think that's how the saying goes. Anyway, you can't tell right now, but there are about a dozen other stone cairns just like this in, a 25-yard radius. And they often show up in groups like that. And that's one of the really interesting things. It's never uniform groups. It's never, the same number in the same pattern, but they often show up in groups, except for our stony friend up at the top of the hill though. Ones like that usually, are isolated. There might be one on one hill, there might be one on another hill, but these guys are always in groups. And one of the ideas is that they were a battlefield gravesite or, something like that. People made graves and then moved on. And there seems to be some sort of spiritual significance to these things. Some happen to be aligned with where the sun rises and sets on the equinox. That's where the idea that they were built by Celtic Druids comes from, because Stonehenge has the same sort of hooky spooky sun magic going on. Could just be that lots of people built things, to worship the sun or to do cool things with the sun, when that's the only source of bright light that you got is the sun 9,000 years ago. Who knows? Some of these cairns are laid out to resemble animal shapes like turtles, snakes, or the mythical thunderbird. These stone cairns are often found alongside split stones filled with smaller rocks. According to native lore, the split rocks are doors to the spirit world, and the smaller stones are offerings to keep the doors open. One of the things that makes it really hard to determine anything about these stone cairns is that some of them have been excavated, and they found absolutely nothing underneath them. And without any artifacts or anything else, all you're left with is just a pile of rocks. It really is just a pile of rocks. And so it becomes absolutely impossible to study archaeologically. And that's why even though we've known about these things for hundreds upon hundreds of years, we still don't have any answers, because at the end of the day, it's just a pile of rocks. It doesn't quite have the same effect just looking at one with a skinny, pale dude resting his hand on it, talking about it. It doesn't really give the full effect. To really get the full effect of it, you have to see a bunch of them in a bunch of different places. It could be that maybe this one was built 9,000 years ago. Maybe that one at the top of the hill earlier was built 200 years ago. Maybe that one right over there was built 50 years ago. I've certainly, killed an afternoon by stacking rocks in a river. It's cool, a lot of people do it. And lots of people always have done. But perhaps the answer to the mystery is that, it's simply given enough time and boredom, everyone starts stacking rocks eventually.